Yo, what's going on, guys? My name's omgurheadsgone, and today we're going to go in depth about how to stay alive for longer periods of time during multiplayer gameplay, and hopefully also help you guys get some flawless gameplays. I'm going to give you guys some tips and tricks that I've been using and that I've been kind of building up and working on for years. So this is episode 4 of my Black Ops 2 tips and tricks series, and let's get started. Okay, so tip number 1. You're going to want to learn how to navigate the maps, and I don't necessarily mean you have to learn spawns and stuff like that. That kind of comes as you play more and more, but there's some basic tips that are going to help anybody out, regardless of whether or not you have perfect map knowledge for every particular map. So this is kind of more of a general tip thing, and it should help everybody out, so let's get started on that. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to stick to the edges of the map, because obviously this is going to limit the ways you can get shot. You're going to have less of a chance of getting flanked or an enemy spawning behind you, and obviously that's going to increase your chance of staying alive. You're also going to want to always have your back to a wall. You're going to, again, limit the amount of ways that you can be shot from. Now, another thing that you're going to want to make sure you never do is sprint around corners. This is really important because when you're going around a corner, if you sprint around it and there's an enemy waiting for you, you're dead. You're not going to be able to aim down the sight quick enough to take them out. You might if they're really bad or have a really bad reaction time, but chances are they're going to get the drop on you and you're going to end up dying. So what you want to do is just kind of go around corners and make sure that your screen is very centered, you're ready for anybody there, and just kind of walk around them. Make sure you're ready to, flinch whatever or twitch to wherever there might be an enemy, and this way you're going to have a much better chance of winning the gunfight because you're likely going to be a lot more prepared than your opponent. So definitely try that out. Another thing I like to do when navigating maps is kind of picking routes where I'm always behind cover. I'm moving from cover to cover. I have an upper hand advantage in any gunfights I get into. I never want to really run through a completely open area, and even if I do, I'm still going to be running from cover to cover like you just saw in the gameplay there. I just kind of walk up to cover and I pick people off, and then if I advance, I'm trying to advance to the next piece of cover that I can use toward my advantage, and that definitely helps a lot. It helps me win a lot more gunfights, so definitely incorporate that into your gameplay. But anyways, let's move on to tip number 2 now. This one's pretty simple. When you're walking around, have your screen centered to where you're going to want to ADS down, where you expect an enemy to be. So when you're walking through an alleyway, if there is a head glitch, barrel, or whatever where an enemy is likely to come around the corner and get the drop on you, you want to have your screen centered there so you can quickly ADS down the sight and already be aimed right at them so you can take them out. A way that I improved on this is by simply adding a little dot to the center of my screen. All I had to do was you can take a piece of a Kleenex, a piece of paper, pretty much a piece of anything that will easily be able to be removed from your TV, and all you have to do is, if you take a piece of paper, just wet it a tiny bit and aim down the sight, and it's just a tiny dot. You put it on the center of your screen. You can take it off whenever you want, but this way when you're playing, you know exactly where the center of your screen is at all times, so you're not kind of guessing a tiny bit when you're ADS down the sight. You're going to be aiming right where your center is, and you're going to be confident about it, so that's definitely going to help a lot. But let's move on to tip number 3 now. You're going to want to pay attention to your surroundings, and this is really important, especially in game modes like domination, where you have to notice when spawns flip. When you've pushed too far into a certain flag area that the enemy team has and they start spawning behind you, you want to know that, or else you're going to get flanked and you'll ruin your streak there. If you're playing other game modes like team deathmatch or whichever other game mode you might be playing, you want to make sure that you can tell where the enemy team is by checking out where your team is, and generally wherever your team isn't, the enemy team probably is going to be around. So that's a good way to make sure that you're aware of your surroundings and you know where the enemy is coming from. And another thing I find to help me avoid dying when I'm trying to get flawless gameplays is to make sure I'm always at least kind of close to my teammates, because if you're just running through the areas of the map where your teammates are nowhere around to help you, you're likely going to get flanked, or you're going to end up in the middle of an enemy spawn and you're going to end up getting screwed over like that. And the really great thing about this is then you can kind of bait your teammates, and if there's a questionable corner where you kind of know there's enemies around, you can let your teammate go first, you can use him as bait, and then you'll know where the enemy is when he dies. Hopefully he doesn't die, but if he does, at least you know where the enemy is, and then you can take them out. Alright guys, so that wraps up this video. I really hope it helped you out. If it did, please comment, rate, and subscribe. The subscribe button is below, the like button's below, and I'd really appreciate it a lot. But anyways, until next time, I hope you enjoyed the video, and peace out.